I can't believe I have to make this video, but apparently I do. Now, who wins between Baryon Mode Naruto and Kashin Koji should be pretty easy to figure out, but there have been a couple of goons fishing for debates on TikTok and trying to pad their stats against unsuspecting people in the comment section. So, if you are one of those people, here is how to prove that Naruto slams Kashin Koji on his head with pretty much no difficulty. Now, as a few of you know, I posted this scale on my account a couple of times, and it gained some decent traction. By no means did I invent this scale, but to my knowledge, I helped popularize it on the TikTok platform, and to be quite honest, I don't agree with it as much as I did back then. The scale itself is pretty simple. In Chapter 48, Ishiki emerges and the fight begins. Ishiki states that his body is brimming with incredible power, and that's proving that he is in fact in peak condition. He then charges at Kashin Koji and is able to react, putting his speed on par with Ishiki. Koji then barrages him with a couple of punches, and they all have zero effect to be quite honest, and Ishiki punches him, sending him flying. Ishiki then rushes towards Koji to follow up, and Koji again reacts in time with a jutsu. This jutsu is called the 5 Fire Gods Fan of Flames. That is a mouthful. From this fight, we can see that Koji is relative to Ishiki in terms of speed, and the fact that he was able to tank one of his attacks means that, he is durable enough to do so. However, let's talk about why this might not be the case. In Chapter 47, when Ishiki first revives himself, he begins to shrink everything he can see, and Koji makes note of this. Koji says that he might be trying to destroy the dimension, but I think there's a much more plausible answer here. Remember this, because I'm going to come back to it. Koji begins the fight spamming fireballs at Ishiki, and Ishiki just literally and casually walks through them. Koji tries to capture him with a Raging Lion's Mane, which is an awesome jutsu, but he obviously fails to do so. Ishiki shrinks himself with Suka and Hikona and sits on Koji's shoulder while talking shit to him. As a matter of fact, the entire fight, Ishiki makes it clear that he looks down on Kashin Koji. Not one time does he have an interaction with Koji that isn't condescending as all hell. Now, remember what I said earlier about Ishiki aimlessly shrinking things and just kind of having fun? That's exactly what it is. That wasn't him destroying the time space. It was him getting reacclimated to his former and rightful body. Ishiki is not engaging Koji in battle to the death here. Ishiki is sparring with Kashin Koji. This is his warm-up for the pending threat. This is him showing his superiority to an inferior humankind race. The entire fight, we have Ishiki slamming Kashin Koji and not having many problems while doing so. I've heard some people try to argue that Koji lost because he was off guard in this panel right here. And there's actually two ways to refute this. The first one is Kashin Koji is in Sage Mode, and the sensory in Sage Mode is absurd, but honestly, you don't really have to do that. Let's say that it was off guard. Let's say that Ishiki did in fact catch Kashin Koji off guard. It doesn't matter because we have a precedent that's already set. Kashin Koji was getting slammed before the fight, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. So why does it matter that Ishiki caught him off guard? The answer is that it really doesn't. Again, that's going off the assumption that he did catch him off guard. With Sage Mode, we know that he probably didn't, but that's neither here nor there. Again, operating under the assumption that Ishiki does catch him off guard, there's a strong implication that Ishiki could have killed him the entire time. For example, when he sits on his shoulder and is talking to him, he could have used that time to murder Kashin Koji if he so wished to, but again, he chose not to. He's trying to reacclimate himself to his new, well not new, his former body, the body that he's used to, because he spent thousands of years inside of Jigen's body. Again, I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to say here. Another thing to add is that Kashin Koji has no AP scaling, like, at all. Kashin Koji is swapping hands with and damages a 10% recovered Jigen, but you would have to figure out where Jigen scales, that 10% Jigen scales, and I'm going to save you a lot of time. He scales nowhere. He doesn't do anything else while he's at his 10% recovery phase besides fight Kashin Koji. And it's actually even debatable whether he damages Jigen or not, because he does land a couple of punches. Jigen doesn't show any visible signs of taking damage. He just kind of flies away. Koji is able to damage him with a fire, but that's not his fire. That's fire that he summoned from elsewhere. So Koji not once damages Ishiki. He wouldn't scale to Ishiki in terms of AP, and he damages Jigen, a 10% Jigen, who again scales nowhere. So his next feat is damaging Konohamaru. Yeah. It's pretty pitiful. Now, onto Baryon Mode Naruto. Naruto, to be quite honest, simply scales above Ishiki in pretty much every statistical category. In his Baryon Mode, when it was at full power, Ishiki starts the fight, like trying to charge at him, and Naruto counters him with no resistance, with no difficulty. He just simply elbows him in the back of his head. Naruto blitzes him, he dodges him, he counters him whenever he wants to. There's nothing Ishiki can really do about it. Again, keep in mind, this is when Baryon Mode is at its peak. It's when it's at its full power. When he just launches it, when he just uses it, there's nothing Ishiki can actually do here. Ishiki starts showing some relativity later down into the fight, but it's after we get the notion that Naruto's Baryon Mode is waning. So, like, yeah, honestly, there's not really much that you could do there. Now, obviously, in terms of speed, every feat that I just pointed out would put him above Ishiki. He blitzes him numerous times. But on top of that, Naruto's AP scaling is pretty impressive too. What a lot of people forget is that the reason that Ishiki was saying that Naruto's, attacks don't really have a lot of oomph behind them is because Kurama told him to do so. Kurama says when Naruto's about to enter the Baryon Mode that your power will definitely exceed his. However, I want you to take a different route. And he wants him to try to kill Ishiki with a life force / chakra drain rather than actually trying to damage him and actually trying to finish him off that way, because that'll just make the Baryon Mode run out faster. Honestly, there's not really much more to talk about here. Naruto scales above Ishiki in terms of speed and in terms of AP, whereas Kashin Koji scales to an Ishiki that isn't really trying, that's playing with his food, and who's trying to show his dominance. So again, I know that Kashin Koji has some goons out there, and I'm talking to you guys right now. I understand it's fun to scale him because I had a lot of fun too, but there comes a point in time where enough is enough. Kashin Koji is very powerful. I love him, but he is not on Naruto's level. He's not on Sasuke's level. He's most certainly not on Ichiki's level, and he's most certainly not on Baryon Mode Naruto's level. You guys have to stop it. But yeah, guys, that was Padrino Goat with another YouTube video. Everybody who follows me, I appreciate you guys greatly, and I hope you guys have a great day, and I hope you enjoy this video. Peace out, homies.